The search for physical transformation has always been a part of humanity, but with advancements in plastic surgery and body modification, the limits of what is possible have expanded. Some people turn to aesthetic procedures to correct small imperfections or to express their identity in a unique way. Others take this pursuit to a level that challenges conventional standards, creating completely unique and, in some cases, astonishing appearances. But to what extent can changes in appearance be considered a personal expression, and when do they become a reflection of external influences and societal expectations? Hello, restless minds. I'm Code, and this is Discover It, where curiosity knows no limits. Subscribe and help the channel grow, because every time you like, comment, or share, you are helping us bring these discoveries to more people. Together, we can create a community where curiosity can change the world. And now, without further ado, let's get into the video. Igor and Grichka Bogdanov were fascinating figures in both the academic world and the media. Identical twins born in France, they became known in the 1980s for hosting science programs that explored futuristic and technological themes. Additionally, they had respectable academic backgrounds, Igor in mathematics and Grichka in physics. But their ideas about the universe inspired both admiration and skepticism in the scientific community. Over the years, however, public attention shifted beyond their intellectual contributions and began to focus on their aesthetic changes. Their facial features started to transform notably, with more defined and striking traits that sparked curiosity and speculation. If science had a crossover with a sci-fi movie, the Bogdanovs would be the protagonists. They didn't just talk about the future, they looked like they came straight from it. They never officially confirmed the procedures they underwent, maintaining an air of mystery about their appearance. For many, they became a symbol of how aesthetics can be reinterpreted and reimagined over time. But this relationship between fame and image raises an important question. To what extent can media exposure influence how we see ourselves and present ourselves to the world? The Bogdanov story is not just about visual transformation, but also about the complex interaction between identity, science, and public perception. Martina Big captured public attention not only for her striking aesthetic transformation, but also for the way she redefined her own visual identity over the years. Initially, her journey began with the desire to enhance her physical features through aesthetic procedures, making her appearance more distinctive. However, it was her decision to drastically alter her skin tone that sparked debates and raised questions about the extent to which aesthetics can intersect with cultural and social issues. Her transformation led to discussions about identity, self-expression, and the limits of body modifications. Regardless of the differing opinions on her choices, Martina remained firm in her decision, stating that her transformations reflect how she feels on the inside. Her story makes us reflect on the impact of aesthetic changes on how we perceive ourselves and how others perceive us. To what extent can appearance truly define who we are? And when does transformation stop being just a visual change and start representing a new way of existing in the world? Valeria Lukyanova became internationally known as the Human Barbie, a title that reflects her striking resemblance to the famous doll. Since childhood, she was fascinated by the aesthetics of perfect proportions and decided to transform her own appearance to align with this ideal. Her sculpted face, large eyes, and slender body made her an iconic figure, sparking debates about modern beauty standards. Valeria has always claimed that her transformation was the result of a disciplined lifestyle combined with strategic aesthetic procedures to enhance her appearance. However, her journey goes beyond aesthetics. She has delved into spiritual and philosophical topics, advocating the idea that her appearance is a manifestation of her worldview. But this pursuit of perfection leads us to an essential question. To what extent can aesthetic ideals shape our perception of ourselves? And does visual perfection truly bring personal satisfaction? Valeria's story invites us to reflect on the relationship between identity, image, and the impact of beauty standards on society. Long before body modification culture became a modern phenomenon, Horace Riddler was already challenging the aesthetic norms of his time. Born in early 20th century England, Riddler began his transformation after serving in World War I. His initial idea was to alter his appearance to stand out as a circus performer, but what started as a means of survival became his identity. He covered his entire body with black and white striped tattoos, creating a look reminiscent of a zebra. In addition to the tattoos, he stretched his earlobes and pierced his nose to insert ornaments, making him one of the most striking figures in the freak shows of that era. Despite choosing this transformation as part of his career, Riddler faced social challenges and resistance from society. However, he managed to turn his appearance into an intriguing story, gaining respect and recognition as one of the most famous body exhibition artists of the past century. His case makes us reflect on the boundaries between art and identity. To what extent can aesthetic change be seen as a legitimate form of expression, and when does it become a spectacle for others? Horace Riddler proved that, for some, body transformation can be both an artistic choice and a path to personal acceptance. Pixie Fox became known for her astonishing transformation inspired by cartoon characters. Her desire was to bring the characteristic features of animations into the real world, creating an almost fantastical appearance. To achieve this, she underwent numerous aesthetic procedures that radically altered her facial and body structure. Her case sparked curiosity, as well as questions about how far aesthetics can be shaped to align with a specific artistic vision. Despite her dedication to this ideal, Pixie faced unexpected challenges, including the need to reverse some of her transformations due to complications. This leads us to an essential reflection. How far is it worth modifying our bodies to achieve an aesthetic ideal? Her story reminds us that although technology allows for astonishing transformations, the relationship between appearance and well-being should always be approached with caution. Kirill Tereshin, known as the Russian Popeye, sought an impressive physique and decided to take an unconventional path to achieve his goal. Inspired by the idea of extreme muscle enhancement, he turned to non-traditional methods to achieve exaggerated arm volume. Initially, his transformation sparked curiosity and notoriety, but over time, he faced challenges related to his health and well-being. His case serves as a warning about the importance of making safe choices when it comes to physical changes. The pursuit of a specific image can lead to unexpected consequences, especially when undertaken without proper supervision. His story reminds us that every transformation should be evaluated responsibly, balancing aesthetics and health to ensure positive long-term results. Simon Cowell has always been a prominent figure in the entertainment industry, not only for his strong personality and blunt commentary, but also for his aesthetic transformation over the years. As a public figure constantly in the spotlight, Cowell turned to procedures to maintain a youthful and refreshed appearance. His facial changes became noticeable, generating speculation about the impact of industry pressures on the self-esteem of influential personalities. Over time, Cowell himself admitted that he had overdone some aesthetic choices and decided to reverse part of the alterations to adopt a more natural look. His case raises a relevant question. To what extent can social pressure influence how we see ourselves? And when do minor adjustments turn into an endless quest for youth? His story reminds us that even for those in the spotlight, finding a balance between appearance and authenticity can be a challenge. Tiffany Taylor decided to transform her appearance to resemble a specific ideal, the sophisticated image of Ivanka Trump. Over a relatively short period, she underwent numerous procedures to adjust her facial and body features, seeking a resemblance to the businesswoman and former first daughter. Her motivation went beyond aesthetics, reflecting a desire for personal reinvention after significant changes in her life. However, despite her efforts, the transformation did not turn out exactly as expected. Many questioned whether it was truly possible to faithfully replicate another person's appearance, or if each individual's visual identity always carries unique traits. Her case makes us reflect on how admiration for a public figure can influence our decisions and how modifying one's appearance can impact self-perception. After all, does true change happen on the outside or the inside? Cindy Jackson became internationally known for having undergone an impressive number of aesthetic procedures throughout her life. Her goal was not just to rejuvenate, but to completely redefine her appearance to align with her ideal of beauty. With each intervention, Cindy moved closer to the image she envisioned for herself, becoming an extreme example of the pursuit of aesthetic transformation. Some people use makeup contouring. Cindy decided to go full-on hard mode, reshaping her face itself. No filters, just cheeks in 4K. However, her story is not just about external changes, but also about the relationship between self-esteem and body modification. She has always defended her choices as being driven by the desire to feel good about herself, but her case raises a broader debate. Is there a limit to this pursuit? To what extent does aesthetic transformation truly bring lasting satisfaction? Cindy Jackson shows us that beauty is subjective and that self-perception can be a path of constant evolution. Jocelyn Wildenstein, known as the Catwoman, became one of the most emblematic faces of dramatic aesthetic transformations. Her look, characterized by feline-inspired features, was the result of years of surgical procedures. However, her motivation was not just aesthetic. For Jocelyn, changing her appearance reflected her personal vision of beauty and style. Despite the diverse opinions about her transformation, Jocelyn has always remained confident in her choices. Her case raises an essential point about individuality and aesthetic freedom. Is there a single standard of beauty, or should true visual identity be defined by each person? Her story invites us to reflect on how we perceive diversity in appearance and to what extent aesthetic modification should be guided by personal desire rather than external expectations. Hang Myoku began her aesthetic journey in pursuit of small improvements, but over time, her relationship with procedures became increasingly intense. Her desire to maintain youthful skin led her to seek alternatives that ultimately resulted in unexpected changes to her appearance. Her case became widely discussed, raising questions about personal image perception and the psychological impacts of radical transformations. Hang's story highlights the importance of professional guidance and a careful approach to the relationship between self-esteem and physical changes. After all, does true satisfaction come from external transformation or internal balance? Her case reminds us that every aesthetic modification should be made with awareness and responsibility, ensuring that emotional well-being always comes first. Leo Blanco grew up admiring Michael Jackson, but his devotion to the pop icon went beyond music and dance. His goal was to physically resemble the king of pop, and to achieve this, he underwent numerous aesthetic procedures. Rhinoplasties, fillers, and other interventions were performed in an attempt to recreate the star's features, making his transformation a continuous process. Despite his efforts, the resemblance to Michael Jackson remained a topic of debate among those following his journey. This raises an important question. How much can one's appearance be altered to become someone else? Is true identity found in the reflection in the mirror or in the essence we carry within? Leo's story reminds us that no matter how much aesthetics can be modified, an individual's uniqueness always remains in some way. From a young age, Justin Jedlicka saw aesthetics as an art form, and his own appearance became his greatest project. Inspired by the Ken doll, he invested in a series of surgical procedures to sculpt his face and body, creating a highly structured and symmetrical look. To him, each modification was carefully planned, like a sculptor molding his masterpiece. While most people try to hide their plastic surgeries, Justin Jedlicka practically collects them like achievements. If there were a sticker album for this, he would have completed it long ago. Unlike many who seek a natural look, Justin has always embraced his extreme transformation and never worried about appearing authentic. But his story raises an interesting question. To what extent can an idealized aesthetic replace natural identity? The pursuit of perfection can become an endless journey, and Justin Jedlicka exemplifies how body modification can be both a form of expression and a psychological and physical challenge. Ethan Bramble began modifying his appearance at a very young age, accumulating dozens of procedures, including extensive tattoos, a split tongue, and structural changes to create a unique look. His goal was never to fit into a standard, but to express his individuality in an extreme way. To him, body modification was a living art form, a way to externalize who he truly was. Despite his confidence in his transformation, Ethan acknowledged that some changes brought unexpected challenges, both socially and professionally. His case makes us reflect on the impact of permanent choices in shaping identity. Aesthetics can be a reflection of personality, but is every change truly worth it in the long run? Sahar Tabar gained internet fame by sharing images of her highly modified appearance, earning her the nickname Zombie Angelina Jolie. However, much of her visual impact came from digital editing and exaggerated makeup, something many only discovered later. Her story demonstrates how the internet can turn images into viral sensations, even when the reality behind them is completely different. The internet has an insane power to turn anything into truth, and Sahar Tabar's case proved that. The problem? Not everything that goes viral is real. Sometimes it's just good Photoshop and well-placed lighting. Despite the fictional aspect of her transformation, Sahar faced real-life consequences. Her case raises questions about the limits of self-expression and the influence of social media on how we present ourselves to the world. To what extent can the pursuit of attention lead us to create unrealistic versions of ourselves? Her journey makes us reflect on how digital aesthetics shape perceptions and create unexpected consequences. Eric Sprague, known as the Lizard Man, didn't just want to modify his appearance, he wanted to reinvent his identity. Inspired by reptilian aesthetics, he covered his body with scale tattoos, split his tongue, and implanted prosthetics to create a look that defied traditional standards. But his transformation wasn't just visual, it was part of a performance art that made him a recognized figure in the world of body modifications. His story shows us that aesthetic modification can go beyond vanity and become a form of authentic expression. However, his case also raises an interesting question. When does appearance completely define a person's identity? Eric found a way to connect with his essence through his modified body, but would everyone be ready to embrace such a radical transformation? Herbert Chavez didn't just admire Superman, he decided to transform his own appearance to look like the iconic hero. Since childhood, he was fascinated by the character's aesthetics and underwent multiple surgeries to reshape his face and body in the image of the Man of Steel. His nose, chin, and lips were altered to imitate the features of the actors who portrayed the hero in movies, while other procedures helped sculpt his physique. However, his quest for superhero perfection raised questions about the limits of aesthetic transformation. How far can the influence of an icon lead someone to alter their identity? Herbert never gained superpowers, but his story makes us reflect on how admiration can turn into a journey of transformation, and whether this pursuit truly brings us closer to the ideal we imagine or distances us from who we really are. Dennis Avner, also known as Stalking Cat, was one of the most striking cases of body modification. Inspired by the spiritual beliefs of his Native American heritage, he decided to transform his appearance to reflect his connection with tigers. To achieve this, he underwent numerous procedures, including facial implants, stripe-like tattoos, and dental modifications to simulate fangs. His story raises an important question about identity and transformation. To what extent can modifying the body truly connect us with who we feel we are inside? Dennis found in feline aesthetics a way to express his spirituality, but his journey also brought challenges of acceptance and societal adaptation. His path makes us reflect on the relationship between body, mind, and identity, and whether physical transformation can truly fulfill an inner desire. Anastasia Pokrashuk completely redefined her appearance by investing in extreme facial fillers to enlarge her cheeks to an impressive size. Her goal was to achieve a striking and unique look, using aesthetics as a form of self-expression. Over time, her transformation became her trademark, drawing attention and raising questions about the limits of aesthetic modification. They say, a smile opens doors. In Anastasia's case, I think her cheeks get there first. It's impressive how aesthetics can be taken to extremes in ways we never imagined. Despite the criticism, Anastasia has always defended her choices, stating that her appearance reflects her personality. Her story makes us think, should beauty be defined by established standards? Or does each person have the right to create their own version of what they consider beautiful? Her case shows how aesthetics can be subjective and how self-image can be shaped in unexpected ways. Anthony Lofredo is one of the most extreme cases of body modification today. His goal is simple yet radical. He wants to become a being that transcends human appearance. Known as the Black Alien, Lofredo has undergone numerous drastic changes, including the removal of his nose, ears, and part of his lips, as well as full-body tattoos, including his eyeballs. He has also implanted subdermal prosthetics to create protrusions on his head and face, making his appearance even more futuristic. His project, called the Black Alien Project, documents every stage of his transformation, generating both fascination and controversy worldwide. For Anthony, his appearance is an external manifestation of how he feels inside, a way to free himself from the limits of traditional aesthetics. However, his journey also raises profound questions. How far can a human modify their body without compromising its functionality and quality of life? Is extreme body modification a valid form of identity or a challenge to biological limits? Whatever the answer, Anthony Lofredo represents one of the boldest examples of the pursuit of physical transformation. Aesthetic transformation, whether subtle or extreme, has always been present in humanity. Some people seek changes to boost their self-confidence, while others view body modification as a form of art or personal expression. However, each of these stories shows that the relationship between appearance and identity is more complex than it seems. In some cases, the changes brought satisfaction. In others, they led to challenges and deep reflections. But in the end, what truly defines beauty and identity? Can external modifications make us feel complete, or does true transformation happen from the inside out? If you enjoyed this journey of discoveries, don't forget to leave a like, share with your friends, and comment below on what caught your attention the most. Maybe others will relate, and we can create an interesting discussion. And of course, subscribe to the channel for more content where curiosity knows no limits.